You're listening to the One Man Show Network. Welcome to the MMA Fight Picks podcast with your host, Aaron Weinbaum.
All right, welcome to MMA Fight Picks. I am your host, Aaron Weinbaum, and I see the X stream is still busted, but that is okay because I think at least now the YouTube streams kind of flow into that if you put it in ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that. Oh, I see myself. That is wonderful. Except for, I guess I can't really pin a live stream. It doesn't matter. You know what? We're good. We're good. UFC 326. Are we ready to rock? I'm ready to rock. But first, we need to talk about a few things from last week. That's all right. UFC 326 Holloway versus Oliveira, part 2 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. I mean, last week, okay, I had one really solid pick. I went 1-2. And the ones I missed were the obvious ones, okay? The one I got were the ones that nobody was getting, and that's okay. And so let's just go over that real quick. I had some camera issues right before this deal, so sorry if I seem a little frazzled. I'm done now. Done with that. Anyway, last week I picked Bobby Green to win over Daniel Zellhuber, okay? And I think that was just about the only upset I got right. And that's really the only upset I picked because Bobby Green has been there before. Who had Daniel Zellhuber really even beaten? Nobody. Okay. And then Marlon Vera, I went against the odds there. I thought he was a little more experienced, but he lost like he was supposed to. David Martinez, the same old Cheeto showed up that he always does, just doesn't really put his foot on the gas. He's really good defensively, but he just offensively, I don't know if he doesn't have it anymore or what. And then the other obvious one I missed was Brandon Moreno getting beat by Lonnie Kavanaugh. I thought for sure that Moreno's experience, the fact that Moreno, was ready for this fight, and Kavanaugh came in on a little bit of short notice. I thought for sure. So not the night we wanted, but I told you, don't bet on my picks. I picked some upsets here and there, but like I said, I'm a fanalist. Now tonight, the fights I am currently picking. Oh, also, by the way, if Dana White just happens to go on Instagram Live announcing the UFC Washington card, I'm gonna cut to that. But fights I am picking tonight: Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson at 155 pounds. Both super experienced guys. I think Michael Johnson, I'll get into that. I'll get into all that. Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. I think, this is Rosas' first time really fighting in a veteran here. And then Kyle Borralho versus Reinier de Reader, right? RDR, how about that? And then Max Holloway, of course, a rematch. Different weight classes than before. It was 145 the first time, 155 this time. Let's get into it. First up, at 155 pounds, Drew Dober versus Michael the Menace Johnson. Really kind of close here in terms of the odds. Drew Dober, a plus 102 dog. Michael Johnson, a minus 122 favorite. So let's take a look at Drew's last few fights. He beat Kyle Propolek, TKO punches and knees. This is back in October. Before that, he lost to Manuel Torres, got knocked out, and then lost to Gene Silva, knocked out. So, I mean, Drew's suffered a lot of knockout losses in recent memory. I can go back to even, some more fights, but the guy brings it every time. And then you got Michael Johnson. you could say the same thing, brings it every time. But as he has gotten older, he has gotten defensively smarter. And what I mean by that is he's gotten more patient. And it used to be Michael Johnson wins the first 2 rounds, continues to be reckless, all of a sudden gets knocked out in round 3. I haven't seen that really, but that's how he used to win, in these firefights. But now, he's not losing these fights in the 3rd round anymore. Let's go over his last few fights, okay? Beat the aforementioned Daniel Zellhuber by decision. Beat Ottoman Azatar back in December 2024, and then back in February 2024, another decision. I'm sorry, he knocked out Ottoman, and then won another decision here against Darius Flowers. So, stylistically, they match up pretty good, but I think Johnson can control range a little more consistently. What's going to happen when Dober tries to force exchanges? I don't know. I have to go with the odds on this one. I think it is going to be Michael Johnson because I think it's just the composure he has developed in recent years. I would like to think that he's going to do it. Michael Johnson. Now next up, Rob Font. This is 135 pounds. Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. The youngster, Chihuahua. That's my one and only attempt at that. Oh, my phone's going crazy over here. Let's take a look at the odds. Raul Rosas Jr. minus 210. And Rob Font, a plus 175 dog. I need to write something down here because something's not right. But these were the odds I pulled, and these are the odds I double checked. Now, I don't know coming into fight time what the odds are going to be like, but I don't know. Let's take a look at the pedigree, shall we? And again, if you're watching live, feel free to join in. Okay, Rob Font. Last 3 fights. Lost to David Martinez, who we just saw fight over the weekend against Cheeto. No shame in losing that one. But he did beat the 2 fights before that. Both of them decisions. February was, almost a year ago. Gene Matsumoto and then Kyler Phillips. So that was October. Now, Raul Rosas Jr. did just win against Vince Morales. A decision. I cannot say this guy's name, but September 2024, Aori Kiliang, another decision, and then chokes out Ricky Turcos, submission June 2024. So, if I'm just going to go down the list here of guys they have fought, I'm actually going to do this here. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. I'm going to look up I'm going to look up Rob Font real quick because I just want to go over the resume compared to Raul Rosas Jr. And no, I'm not finding it all of a sudden. Come on, baby. Oh, that's why. UFC 326. We need to go further in time. I was in the wrong event here. Let's go UFC 326 and take a look. How about that? Boom. Where you at? Where you at? All right. This is what happens when we go live here. All right, Rob Font. Let's just look over the wins over notable opponents, okay? I mean, Adrian Yanez. All right. Cody Garbrandt. Marlon Morales, back when he was a killer. Ricky Simone. Sergio Pettis. But this is unfortunately going back a bit. So I can kind of see what the odds makers are thinking here because, just if you go into the last few years, he's fought some tougher guys. Jose Aldo, Marlon Rivero, Corey Sandhagen, Davidson Figueiredo. Okay. I kind of see it. But just the level of competition alone. I mean, who has Raul fought that you've heard of? Rojas Jr. here. All right. These guys don't even have Wikipedia pages except for the last two guys he fought. What does that say? I mean, they're clearly teeing this guy up to win, right? And so then how do you pick? How do you pick against Rob Font here? I mean, now if Rojas Jr., if he fights well against Rob Font and he wins this fight, maybe I would kind of change my opinion on things. But I mean, we're gonna see what happens here. What's he gonna do when Rob Font just presses the action? What if he can't get Rob Font down? And is Rob Font okay on the ground? I don't know. We'll see. I think he is. I don't know what he's ranked off the top of my head, but you don't see a lot of his fights go there. So we're gonna see here. I think I like Rob Font here, and I'm gonna pick him. So maybe, I'm not gonna say for sure. I'm not gonna, say bet on this guy like I was so sure about Strickland, like I was so sure about Bobby Green. But, I like it. I like it. I like the odds here. I like it to favor Rob Font. So I don't know about the Chewy. It's gonna be Chewy won't. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah. Okay. Next up, we are going to go Caio Borralho versus Reinier de Reader. RDR. All right. Caio, part of the Fighting Nerds. This is crazy to me too. But the odds there may be something with the odds here, okay? Because let's just take a look at the fights. How about this? All right, Caio last September lost to Nasruddin Imanov. So who doesn't lose to that guy, right? He went all the way. He beat Jared Cannonier August 24 before that. Decision. And he beat Balcraig back in May. Knocked him out. Now, RDR, on the other hand, just lost to Brendan Allen, who's coming in kind of, I don't want to say off the couch, but it was shorter notice, I think. People say he shouldn't have stopped that fight. It was a doctor's stoppage. And I don't know what happened with that. His cardio looked a little sus and whatnot, but we'll see. And again, feel free to hop in here, live stream watchers. But he beat Robert Whitaker before that. I mean, it was a split decision. A lot of people thought Whitaker should have got that nod, but Whitaker is moving up a weight class to 205. I don't know if it's because of that fight or not. Then we'll see here. He did beat Bo Nickel. He thought Bo Nickel. Everyone thought Bo Nickel was going to win that fight, but he did not. And I will tell you why. Bo's a small guy. I mean, as skilled as he is, when you look at him against someone like RDR who has fought at 205 pounds before, he looks small. So I don't know. I don't know. But I don't mean to get on a Bo Nickel tangent here, but is he going to stay at 185? Oh, thanks for the like there. Or what? We'll see. But I just don't think that beating Bo Nickel should be the feather in the cap that they are giving for RDR. So the odds here, I think they're a bit disrespectful, but I think Caio Borralho probably is going to take it. I mean, I want to see what happens when they get in these grappling exchanges. I want to see what happens. I want to see if RDR can keep up with the pace. And I also want to see how good he really is. He's got just kind of that grueling grappling style where he just kind of sticks to you. But the guy always looks gassed out between rounds. And I'm not just talking about the Robert Whitaker fight. The guy looks gassed all the time. And I don't know if that's just because it's a big old weight cut or not, because he looks pretty big in there. But I don't know. I like Kyle Borralho in this fight. We'll see what's up. The main event of the evening, the BMF. That stands for bad. Well, you know what I'm talking about. And we're going to take a look at these odds here. Max Holloway minus 190, Charles Oliveira plus 165. You know, I'm going to dig a little deeper here than my cheat sheet because I just don't think we understand the full Monty of what both of these guys have done since, well, you know, Charles has been at 155 for a while now. Big 145 pounder, cut too much weight. He had many misses, many bad performances due to those cuts, you know. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. But you got Max Holloway, also former 145-pound champion. Beat everyone not named Alex Volkanovski or Ilya Topera. So we'll see. But I just want to take a look at Max's history for just a moment, if you don't mind. Okay? Going way back when, I mean, he was the legend killer before there were legend killers. Frankie Edgar, Jose Aldo, more than once. Brian Ortega. I mean, he was giving Brian Ortega boxing lessons, you know, while he was pummeling him. I mean, he was talking to the guy. It was crazy. But, you know, he goes and tries to avenge a loss against Dustin Poirier. And the first time they fought was probably a million years ago. I don't even know how long it was. Okay. Oh, 2012. So he goes back up to fight Dustin Poirier. Okay. The second time rather. And I just want to see when this was. April 2019, a while back. Now let's take a look at that fight. You could say, well, he's kind of done okay at 155 pounds. He beat Justin Gaethje, lost to Dustin Poirier once. He beat Dustin Poirier again. Let's put the brakes on that because when he fought Dustin Poirier the second time, he was moving up to fight Dustin Poirier as kind of a novelty fight. Okay. Now, what I mean by that was he looked like a 145-pound guy fighting Dustin Poirier that second time that just didn't cut any weight. He looked like kind of a doughier version of himself fighting Dustin Poirier. Like he just kind of moved up for fun, if you will. So, what does that even mean? Well, hello. Somebody says hello. Well, hello to you too. Um, Anyway, got off on a tangent here. I got excited. But so he just looked like a doughier version of himself fighting Max Holloway. Goes back down to 145 pounds, right? And what do we see? What do we see? Beats Frankie Edgar. And then comes the first two losses, okay, against Alex. Comes back, gets the pummeling on Calvin Kattar and Yair Rodriguez. Just absolutely probably broke all the strike records in the world. Third loss to Volkanovski, okay? Then just goes on a tear. Arnold Allen, the Korean Zombie, and then moves up again with the BMF title on the line against Justin Gaethje. And I picked Justin Gaethje to win this fight because I thought it was just going to be the same thing, just a doyer version of Max Holloway that didn't cut weight to 140 or 45 pounds and just basically just kind of cruised in at 155 pounds. Now look at Max Holloway, but you can Google what he looked like against Dustin Poirier the second time, and then when he fought Justin Gaethje at 155 pounds. And what you will see was this dude looked ready to go. Like he was ready to go against Gaethje. I mean, he looked bigger. He looked solid. He looked like he was not there to play. Calling the fight. Yeah, I mean, that's just that reverse kick into those ribs, just throwing Gaethje off his game. absolutely looked like a killer. I would expect that same Max Holloway to show up. Let's talk about Dustin Poirier, number 3. You know, didn't have to fight him a third time. Already lost to him twice, but wants to see Dustin out, out the door with a great retirement. However, you look at that fight, okay? Don't tell me that Max Holloway wasn't pulling his punches. Don't tell me that Max Holloway couldn't have just stepped on the gas a little bit and put Dustin Poirier away. He was trying to be respectful of his retirement, okay? He was trying to, I don't want to say give Dustin a way to win, but just not embarrass Dustin, if that makes any sense. And so what we saw was kind of like a pull your punch type of Max Holloway. But we'll see what he does against Charles Oliveira. And I feel like I'm being a little disrespectful to Charles here, not going over his resume, because he at 155 has just been a killer. A killer. So, before he went up to 155 pounds, and this has been some time now. Oh, man. It doesn't even. Why is it not? Okay. Kevin Lee choked him out. I remember that fight. That was like a weird, I think, COVID fight. I think Kevin Lee missed weight. Yep. Yep. Nick the Carney Lentz, I think that was at 145. So let's go. Jared Gordon knocks him out. Kevin Lee chokes him out. Tony Ferguson went to a decision. And this is the COVID era. Okay. This is when he was just relentless. I want to call him COVID Charles because he was just unstoppable during that time. Dustin Poirier chokes him out. Michael Chandler knocks him out. Justin Gaethje chokes him out. Then he gets his chance against Islam Makhachev. He was the champion already at the time, but oh no, I'm sorry, it was vacant because I'm sorry, that win over Justin Gaethje, he was stripped of the title but beat him anyway. So only Gaethje could win the title. I forgot about that weird little situation. Missed pound by like a half a pound, missed weight by a half a pound, and then they didn't reweigh him or whatever. It was kind of silly. It was kind of very silly. And so then he goes, beats Beneil. Okay, this is 2023. Knocks him out again. Lost to Arman Sarukian. It was a split decision. Didn't look great. Beats the brakes off of Michael Chandler again. And then gets another crack at the title. Fights Ilia Topuria and just gets starched in the first round. And I picked Topuria to win. I picked Oliveira to win that fight because I thought he was just going to be a whatever tiny version of 145 moving up to 155. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. And then just comes back in a fight he was going to lose. Everyone thought he was going to lose. Mateusz Gamrot. Now, that being said, it's time for the picks because I think these are just two different versions of guys. You forget how young Max is, okay? I mean, Charles, let's see here, born in 89. So, wow, he's a little older than I thought, too. So, yeah, he's 36, okay? Oh, Maxie, let's take a look at Maxie. How old is Maxie? Don't make a liar out of me because I thought he was still pretty young. 34. A little older than I thought. Okay. Well, that throws that one out the window. Where was I going with that? Was I going to say Max was the much younger guy? No. But he fights like a much older guy. So Charles fights like a much younger guy. And what do I mean by that? Charles is definitely a bit more reckless than Max. Now, Max comes off being reckless, pointing down the middle of the ring and whatnot, but he's calculated, man. He is so fast. I don't think he's going to get in a firefight he can't win. I think he was a bit surprised that Topuria could bring it to him like he did, but ooh. I mean, let's look at these crazy odds. I mean, just the last 3 fights alone for Max. Dustin, Ilya, Gaethje. Those were his last 3 fights, okay? Oliveira, you know, I got the wrong 3 fights here, but Oliveira split it up a little bit here, and I'm just gonna go over his last 3 fights again for him. Okay, Gamrot, Topuria, Chandler. Chandler, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think I love Chandler. Go Mizzou, but I don't know. Topuria, I don't know. Got beat kind of the same way Max did. Max had never been knocked out even. And then beats Gamrot. I mean, he was picked to lose that fight, but he really hadn't had any great wins. Everyone thought he was better than he really was. So, I mean, man, this is tough. This is kind of a tough one to pick. But I don't know why I'm trying to talk myself out of what I was originally going to pick, but I got to go with Maxie here. I got to go with Max Holloway because, listen, I'm going to go over these odds one more time because I don't know. Plus 165. I don't know if it should be closer. I don't know. That first fight they had at 145 pounds, I didn't even mention that. I mean, there's been such a history between them since that first fight. But, they got in a little bit of a grappling exchange and Charles tweaked his ribs or whatever. I'm gonna see how long ago that was because I don't know. I feel like it was a really long time ago. Let's go. Where are you at, Dustin? Golly. I don't know why I said Dustin. I mean Max, Charles, Okay. That was 2015. So it was 11 years ago? Oh, golly. 10 and a half, really? Wow. Time is a thief, guys. Like, that is way longer ago than I thought. So interesting, man. That's 11 years ago. But I got to go with Maxie here. It is so hard to pick against him. I mean, he looks so different at 155 pounds. Like, he's just found his new prime. And I'm not talking about the doughy version of Max Holloway that fought Dustin Poirier the first time. I'm talking about this version, the one that's just beat the brakes off of Justin Gaethje from bell to bell and pulled his punches against Dustin Poirier. So, don't come after me, Maxie, for saying that, but you know what you did. You know what you did. So, yeah, I got to go Max Holloway for the win. So, I'm going to write this down in my special little notebook here. So, next week I can gloat. Maybe I'll do some reaction videos. Y'all seem to like that. That is for sure. But that's it. Those are my picks. So, just to summarize, we are going to go Michael Johnson, Rob Font. Oh, did I not make a pick? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to go Caio, Borralho. I think so. And, of course, Max Holloway. Max Blessed Holloway. And that's it. Goodbye to the notes for another week. And I will see you all next week. Don't forget to hit subscribe because, how else are you going to find me? And you know what? While you're at it, ring the little bell. That little bell right there. I know you see it. And what happens is, anytime I get a live stream or I get one scheduled, you get to know. You get to come on here. And just like the old days, back when I did the podcast way back when, you could be one of the little smack talkers. And you know what? I love you all too. All the smack talkers, all the people that aren't smack talkers, whatever. But yeah, bring it. And we'll see you all next time.